Hello, everybody. Welcome to Outside the Box. I'm your host, Derek Bixler. Oh, wait, this is the podcast devoted to supporting Central PA small business. I'm your host, Derek Bixler. To my left, I think, I always forget how people see it, is Carol. I've met you and I know you a lot, but I've never said your name out loud. So how do you pronounce your last name? Oh, wait, Aranos? Aranos.
It's close. It's Aranos.
Aranos. Carol
Yep.
Aranos. And what is it? Is that like Italian or something?
My husband's family is Hungarian and German, so I think it's a Slovak name.
Okay. All right. I wouldn't have guessed that, but awesome. So we will get to Carol in just a minute, and we'll be talking about living a happy and healthy life. Again, I'm your host, Derek Bixler, realtor of 15 years and digital marketing geek right here in Central PA. I grew up on the hill in Harrisburg, went to Mechanicsburg High School, go Wildcats, went up to Penn College of Technology in Williamsport, and have been back here, had a few sales jobs before I started selling real estate 15 years ago. If you need to buy or sell a home, please reach out to me. You can text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. We still need inventory. A lot of buyers out there still need inventory, not quite as crazy as it has been. But we still need inventory like crazy. I'll say that again. We need inventory. If you'd like to subscribe to our email, go to supportcentralpa.com to get networking mixer invites and updates, episode announcements, and exclusive special offers. I need to change this whole system here of this slide because I don't like it and I mess up with it every time. So if you want to get that email, sign up there. If you're on Clubhouse, follow me. I'm at Agent Derek. We'll be doing rooms there sometime soon. If you have any questions, a reminder to put them in the comments or say hi to us if you know either of us. If we don't see it during the episodes, we'll come back later and address it or answer your questions. And a reminder that replays are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and soon on iTunes and all the audio players as well. I was going to say something else, but I forget. I'm off my game here today. I'm thinking about something. I don't know what. Let's bring in Carol before I stumble over more of my intro with Essential Joy Wellness. Carol, tell us a little bit about yourself, your personal background, and I briefed you like I do everybody to talk a little bit more about your background rather than just jumping into your business right away. But tell us where you grew up. You grew up right here, and I'm going to stop talking. Tell us who you are and where you grew up.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Carol Fastrich Aranos, my maiden name. I'm actually a native of Central Pennsylvania. Went to Cumberland Valley High School, which was the arch nemesis of Mechanicsburg in my day. And then I went off to Bloomsburg University and studied marketing and communications, and then kind of moved all over the place and ended up back here in Central PA in the 90s to be around my family, which is super, super important to me. I actually, at the time, came back and was managing the Gold's Gym and doing personal training, started my own personal training business and was teaching aerobics, and went back into school, and then met my amazing husband, Jeff, who is an occupational therapist by day. And then he puts on his superhero cape by night and weekends and 2 weeks a year, and is a Navy medical officer in the reserves. Got my master's from Eastern University, and for the last 25 plus years have been an executive in marketing and communications in the financial services industry here, locally. I have two amazing children. Caleb, who's a combat medic in the Army, and he's stationed down in Fort Benning. And then I have a daughter, Grace, who's a junior in Camp Hill. My kids would say that my favorite child is our dog, Shep. And for the podcast, I had to boot him out. Otherwise, he'd be laying on top of my feet. And he's just a big, old, lovable German Shepherd. And then,
or did you boot him in? It almost looks like there's siding behind you.
No, it's actually closet doors.
Ah, okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense now.
Behind here is a mass of military uniforms and professional dress. So, yep.
Did you say your son is also Navy as well, or did you?
No, he's actually in the Army. So he wanted.
Is that a thing?
Well, it is a thing. If you look at Army Navy, so there is a little bit of rivalry happening, but I think that my husband has forgiven him.
And they play, that's the football game, right? I don't watch
It
sports, but
is.
that's the football game every year, right?
Yep, huge rivalry. Army versus Navy. So, yep.
Nice. Good military presence in your family. You said, you mentioned, I went to Mechanicsburg, and you mentioned that Cumberland Valley was arch nemesis of Mechanicsburg. We were obviously different sizes, but you mentioned that. So I'm wondering if you played sports or anything, any reason that it hits home a little bit more than, like, for me, I played basketball. So it was a little bit, and then I would talk to other people that didn't really care and didn't think of it that way. So what makes you feel like it was?
Yeah, so I actually swam and played water polo for the high school. And funny story is that when the CEO of a local bank at the time heard that I played water polo, he hired me almost on the spot. He basically said that if you have the grit to play water polo, then you have the grit to do this job. So I guess that served me well in my career. So don't ever think that high school sports don't matter. And then I was also on the pom pom squad. So, um, but for the most part, I was just a complete social butterfly. If that's a sport, I'm not sure, but that would be me, social butterfly.
I mean, water polo is enough of a sport. That swimming is one of the hardest things you can do. I know triathletes, people that usually get into that, they always say like the swimming is the unexpected hardest part of it. Do you still swim?
No, I would probably drown right now. You threw me in a pool. So uh, I definitely am sitting on the side of the pool with my feet dangling and um, in the pool. So
And then, are there different positions on a water polo team? Do you switch, or are you always like a guard, like in basketball, or is there like forwards like in soccer where you kind of switch? Or I don't know, maybe that's not the case in soccer either.
yeah, so there are different positions. Obviously there's offense and then there's defense, um, but you don't really switch. It's in soccer, if you're a defensive player, then you're a defensive player. Same in water polo. So.
And what do you think, or what do you think that hiring manager, that boss saw in you, or thought that sports or playing water polo maybe taught you? Why is that something that someone would look for, and what do you think it taught you?
Yeah, I think it's just honestly, it's the grit. I mean, you're never allowed to put your feet down. So there's no resting. It's just continual. I really honestly, and I've blogged about this, uh, live my life with a mantra that my grandmother always used to say to us. She was an immigrant into the United States when she was 13. She knew not a lick of English, and she came and she worked for a family in New York City. And, before 9 o'clock in the morning, she had to, of course, this is back in the 1920s. She had to get the children up, feed them, bathe them, do all the laundry, clean clean the kitchen, and get the breakfast together and serve it to the mistress of the home by 9 o'clock every single morning. She was 13 years old. She didn't know how to cook. She never changed a diaper. And so she came through I'm going to call it the school of hard knocks. And the thing that she would always tell us 13 grandchildren was that you have to work hard, tell the truth, and never, never quit. And so I think a lot of that stubbornness and that grit and just that ability to just continue to move through with integrity and a work ethic has always stuck, not only just with me, but again, there's 13 of us, and you can see it kind of resonating through all of us. And that's really how I live my life. I'm also a Rotarian, not anymore, but they have the 4-way test, and they talk about integrity and is it the truth and is it fair to all concerned. And I think that resonates back with how my grandmother, would, I'm going to call it, indoctrinate us into the school of hard knocks. And I've just always lived my life that way.
I mean, there's good people to take lessons from that generation, because if you're waking up, how many kids was she waking up and getting ready in the morning in 1920?
I don't know. I am not really sure. I know that there was at least two because there was a baby and a toddler. So the grandfather of the home actually took her under his wing and basically taught her how to cook and how to do all the things that she needed to do. So she was incredibly blessed and grateful to this elderly gentleman. So.
And when you think about that, you can't think about like it happening now with all the modern conveniences and the awesome blender that I just told you about that I bought that I'm all excited for. She was doing it with 1920 technology and diapers, and the diapers were probably cloth, right? With pins or something.
Well, remember, there was probably no electricity in the home either. No electricity, no stove, no nothing. I mean, just nothing. She was beating rugs. There was no vacuum cleaners. I mean, she was scrubbing the floors, probably on her hands and knees with a wire brush. I mean, no Swippers in those days.
So it's true hard work. And then what do you think she had in her head as the vision of where she was trying to get to, why she was doing all this? What kept her going, do you think?
I don't know. I've never asked her that question. I'm not sure.
Just survival and eating.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I never asked her if she had any dreams or if she ever had any goals in life. I mean, she obviously got married young and had children, but I agree with you. I think it was just sometimes just sheer survival. I mean, during the Depression and following and during the war, I mean, honestly, they lived in a shack with her family, and they literally were starving. I mean, I think this is part of the generation that, that we don't appreciate. And we can never, ever even imagine what it would be like to live a life like that. I mean, they were basically, they moved into a shack on a farm, and, they were, subsistence farming. And, she talks about how starving they were. They were starving. So.
Yeah, it's all perspective. What she was doing, we look at and saying, "Holy cow, how did you do all that? That's crazy." And this might have been great. I would rather be doing this, and what my parents had to do to get where they are was even worse than this, and their parents before them maybe even worse. So it's a lot of it is perspective. So with all the modern conveniences and all the stuff that you were given in modern day, or more at least, what motivated you? What was your why when you were going to practice? And I know what practices are like when you really don't feel like going. It feels like why is there a practice on like Thanksgiving Eve and on like Christmas? Like, I feel like there were practices on days that I really, really didn't want to do it. So what kept you going when you didn't feel like doing it?
Again, I think it was just that work ethic that, that was instilled, because obviously they instilled it into their children. And, we just came off of July 4th. And, if I could just say that this is the American dream. I mean, 2 generations later, I think my grandmother worked hard to provide her children with the American dream. Whether it was the military or college or, a better life. My aunt was a nurse, and so again, I think that kind of pushes down into my generation. And, just that work ethic and just, and knowing that this is what you need to do to be part of the team. This is what it takes to be successful. This is what it takes to win. And, obviously every team wants to win, and every person wants to be part of a winning team. So.
And then, so you played the water polo, which would be a team sport. And this just made me think of it. And you said, did you also swim in like the races and do that as well?
Yeah, I swam pretty much my whole youth, and then into high school a little bit. When I got into high school, I was clearly not good enough to compete, so I dropped the swimming. But yeah, I mean, again, there were a lot of cold practices at 7 o'clock in the morning at Hampton Pool.
Huh.
Oh my gosh. And
Outside.
I outside. Yeah. So we were on this, my mom made us get on the swim team so that we would get out of bed in the morning. And so, yeah, we practiced in the morning in the cold during the summer at Hampton Pool. And yeah,
But
so
not water polo practice in
no,
like
just
high school or
swimming,
something.
just
I was going
swimming.
to say
Yeah.
they've got a nice pool at CV. I'm guessing a couple of
Yeah,
them,
they
maybe,
do.
right?
No, yeah, this was Hampton. This was when I was swimming in my youth. So
So is a water polo team usually made up of slow swimmers, for lack of a better description? Like because it sounds like you swam, and then you kind of fell into the water. I'm not saying you fell into it, but it's like, oh, I'm a swimmer, and this looks like fun, so I'll do this as well.
yeah. I mean, it was just kind of like a natural thing. I mean, I'm self-admitted. I wasn't the best swimmer, and I'm definitely not the best water polo player, which is, I guess, why my water polo career was only a few years of my high school career. But um, I liked playing goalie in the low end because then I could put my feet on the ground. So
Oh, there's a position where you could put your feet on the ground.
yeah, as the goalie. Yep.
Yeah, that
So
sounds great. So you played
yeah.
sports, and I think a part of sports a lot of times is you learn that if you can't do something and you work hard and practice it, you can do the thing. And people that don't play sports or do similar things where you're kind of forced to practice a thing and then you see the results from that thing,
Mhm.
it taught me that I can do what that. I kind of have this idea that I can do whatever just because Johnny or Mary can do it doesn't mean I can't do it. I just haven't tried it enough times or done it enough times. You're not really born. You might be innately born with a little bit of something, but most of it is practice and you can do it. So I think I learned a lot of that from sports. Do you feel the same way at all?
I would say yes, but I will tell you that my real passion for sports and health and wellness really did not happen until I got into college. In a weird way, I took a weightlifting class and absolutely positively loved it. And so that set me off on a trajectory of lifting weights and running. I started to run at the time. And I think that if I would have discovered running in my high school years, that would have been my sport as opposed to swimming. I ran, I always laugh and say I'm a recovered runner like 3 times after multiple surgeries and a stress fracture that snapped through. And, I think that that was really what set me on the true passion of my life, which is health and wellness. Not only the way it made me feel, but just accomplishing more and running farther or running faster for, in a 5K or a 10K. Um, and that was really kind of what propelled me through to honestly where I am today.
So it sounds like well, if you were swimming your whole life, your body got used to, and you probably crave endurance stuff. It sounds like, and the running is an endurance thing. Swimming is most definitely an endurance thing. So it sounds like you like that endurance and you kind of crave it, and you found it in the running finally, which is easier to do. You don't have to go to LA Fitness or to the Y or find a pool somewhere.
Mhm.
It's a lot easier. You just step out your door and go do it. Do you still run now, or you're running as part of your personal wellness program now?
No, no. Like I said, I've had multiple knee surgeries. I had a stress fracture as I was training for a marathon that cracked through, and I ended up being in a cast for like 4 months because it wouldn't heal. And so, my latest running was with my daughter, who did Girls on the Run, which is an amazing, amazing nonprofit program. If you're not familiar with it, I would
We've done
totally
an
look
episode.
into it. Oh, it's an amazing program. So she wanted me to be her running buddy, and of course, I hadn't ran in a bazillion years, and so I trained for this 5K, and we got to the day of the race, and we started running, and of course, she wanted to run faster than me, and I was just trying to keep my keep my lungs from like bursting out of my chest. And one of her coaches ran by And Grace was like, "Can I run with her?" And so she left me in the dust, and I had to dig deep to finish that 5K. So I felt like I was a girl on the run in training at that moment too. So
I'm with you on that one. I don't, running is not, I have played basketball. I could play basketball, but I just don't like running. It's boring, but also my knees, like you
yeah.
have had it. So the skiing and the running is out. And it's by the end of that 5K, even like down the block next day, my knees are going to feel puffy and hurt and not worth it
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've actually found that yoga is an amazing substitute. The elliptical is an amazing substitute. So there are other things that you can do as you get more mature, like myself, that, does not, cause harm to your body. So,
Yeah, I need to find. I upped my things, my biking and rock climbing,
hmm
which is like yoga, like vertical yoga, I like to
right.
call it. Never get hurt. I've never been hurt rock climbing either. I always say that to people, and they're rock climbing. That's crazy. No, it's really, you got to be limber and stretchy, and it's a great thing to do. So yoga, that's part of your wellness program too? Anything else right now that you like to do to stay fit,
No,
active, stretched, limber?
no, so yoga, and of course I am going to the gym and lifting weights still. As you mature, you want to make sure that you're keeping your muscle mass. And once you hit age 25, you start to lose your muscle mass, and that impacts your metabolism and your strength, and your ability to move and be strong. I can remember I was doing well, I had my own personal training business a few years ago, and I was training an elderly woman, and she was about 80, and she was thin, and she looked healthy, but her muscles had deteriorated so much that she had fallen down on the floor, and she didn't have enough muscle strength to get up off the floor. And so our entire personal training, protocol was just to strengthen her muscles. And so we literally would sit on the floor and, as a measure of success, and see if she could stand up. So, maintaining your muscle strength is really important.
It is totally and also if you get sick, I hear people with a little bit more weight have more weight for their body to chew through when it's kind of craving calories and being sick and everything. Um, and grip strength. I saw a TV show one time and they went through all these things. There's like 20 things that could extend your life 10 or 20 years or something. And it all started at like, once you hit like 80 or some maybe 85 or something, all these little things that could extend your life for long periods of time. I think they said after age 80, or there's some point where if you get bedridden for more than 6 months, you die within a year or something like that. So anything that puts you in any kind of sedentary position when you're older is bad. And one of the things I remember is just grip strength. Falls and breaking a hip, falls are
Yeah.
a big part of it. And simply having good grip strength and being able to hold something and hold yourself up saved. It was like they'd put up how many years this adds to your life. Good grip strength, 7 years, good, whatever, good balance, this much. And just that's keeping that muscle on is a good idea. I just joined Planet Fitness. I don't lift weights. That's not my thing either, but I realized it's easy to keep weight off for me, but putting on muscle is the harder thing. And as I get older, I need to concentrate on that. So where do you go? Somewhere Planet Fitness or?
No, actually, so because my husband's in the military, we go to the base on the Navy base in Mechanicsburg. So
Nice. And do you don't personal train anymore as part of your business? Is that something you would
no,
ever introduce back in? And we're not talking about the services yet, but tell me a little bit about the
yeah,
personal training.
actually, so I had my own personal training business for, oh gosh, probably about 5 or 6 years. Back in the 90s, and really, really enjoyed it. And so as I earned my health coaching certification, I actually looked into going back and renewing my personal training certification. Um, as we talk about, health in general, so many people think that health is just all about nutrition and food and weight, and it's really not. Physical movement is a really, really big part of that. And so if I could just go back and kind of refresh for new philosophies or new technology or new studies to build into the health coaching, I think it would be very beneficial for my clients. So I actually have looked into it and have it as a goal for upcoming in 2022.
Yeah, if nothing else, refer it out, have it as part of the program, and then refer it
Yeah.
out or do it yourself or whatever, and take a holistic approach. That's awesome. And you mentioned diet, so talk a little bit about your personal diet before we talk about what other people should be doing. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about your program, and there's all kinds of things out there. What do you do as far as what you put in your body?
Yeah, so my diet has actually changed quite a bit over the last probably year and a half. Pre-COVID, I was struggling with hot flashes, and I know so many of your listeners are going to appreciate this. And even if you are of the male persuasion, I'm sure your, maybe significant other or girlfriend might be struggling with this as
I
well.
have a
But
mom and a sister.
yeah, so I started really struggling with hot flashes and just kind of that weight that would not come off. I just felt like I knew what I needed to do and felt like I was doing it, but it was not, nothing was working. And so I guess maybe about a year ago when COVID hit, I just decided that we were going to uh, take my sugar intake all the way down to almost nothing. I eat almost no added sugar at all. And then I really just took the opportunity to cut a lot of gluten and grains. And I'm not saying that you have to be sugar free and gluten free to have a healthy body or a healthy lifestyle or a healthy weight or to eliminate hot flashes. But I juggled a little bit with my supplements, and voila, here I am, excuse me, a year later. And my little muffin top is gone, and I'm feeling really great. I've lost maybe about 8 or 10 pounds, and I'm full and I'm happy and I feel better and I look better. And of course, all of that leads to confidence. I'm definitely more confident. And so, even as somebody who has lived an entirely healthy lifestyle, knows what to do, my health is still ebbing and flowing. And, what I did in my 20s didn't work for me in my 30s and didn't work for me in my 40s. And now I'm totally exposing my vulnerability and saying it's definitely not working in my 50s. And so health is kind of an ongoing journey. And I think that people don't appreciate that. And they think, well, I did it this way for the last 20 years. Why is it not working now? And again, I think there's so many factors that go into health, and it's not just your diet and what goes into your mouth, but it's your relationships and your career and your physical movement and your spirituality. And that's all of those things comprise your health. I use a tool called Circle of Life, and things on there are things like creativity and, home environment and, you know, other ways to kind of judge how healthy you are or how satisfied you are with your life, that it's not just, again, the food that you put into your mouth. You could be a a marathon runner and only eat kale and no sugar and no gluten, but you could be the unhealthiest person in the whole entire world because there's other things that comprise health that are completely off.
Yeah, if you're not sleeping or you never move and even if you're eating nothing but vegetables, if you're not getting all the different nutrients and all the varieties you're getting and proteins and all that stuff, that's not going to
Correct.
work. So a lot of people do things that they think is good for them, but isn't actually good for them. And I liked what you said, that health is an ongoing journey, just like our knees go bad. So I used to play a lot of basketball. My knees
Mhm.
go bad. Now my biking goes up, and I changed to doing that
Correct.
more and climbing more. And someday when that goes bad, then I get something with the motor, and maybe this is the exercise I get holding on. But you pick something where you can keep doing it. A lot of skydivers actually are older people because there's not much you have to do. You jump out of the plane, and as long as you're good with landing yourself easily, there's not much to it. So you move with it as you age and as your body changes. And as you get bored, you might plateau as well, right? If you stop getting results, you might have to switch it up if you want to keep building muscle and shock your body. So what do you think, diet versus activity, as far as getting physical results? How do you feel for yourself and maybe for others? And this will be the last question before we start talking about your business and your services and everything. What for yourself and for others, what role? I think diet's 70-80% of it. I mean, I don't, people look at me like, you must work out, you're a runner. I mean, I do, like I'm active, but I wouldn't say I work out. I play, I go bike for an hour, or I go hike and climb, and I don't even look at it as a workout, but I don't kill myself. I'm not like beating sweat and just destroying myself. And I just stay this way because my diet is a good one that doesn't pack on pounds and is a healthy one. So that's my take on it. What do you think?
I totally agree. I think that as a nation, that we don't understand the role that nutrition plays in our bodies. I really believe that our bodies can heal themselves by themselves when given half the chance. And the food that we put into our bodies can either, heal us or harm us. There's nothing in between that. And, I'll give you an example. If you have nausea or an upset stomach, so many people will reach for, and I don't want to use a name brand, but they'll reach for like an acid reducing, pill. And what they don't realize is that basically stops the digestion in your stomach. And so then when you put food into your mouth.
You mean like Tums or calcium pills, something for heartburn?
Yes,
Rolaids?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like an acid
You can
reducer.
call them out. The makers of Rolaids ain't watching this and don't live here. They'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't want to get you sued. So, but yeah, so the purple pill, all of those things. So then when you go to eat, you have no acidity in your stomach to digest your food. And so then your stomach your food just lays in your stomach and you're not digesting it. And so it becomes a vicious cycle where if you would change what you're putting into your stomach from a nutrition standpoint, then that could reduce the bloating. It would reduce the irritability. And again, I'm not saying that nutrition is 100% all of it. I think that there is a combination, a gentle combination, but I really do believe that your body can heal itself when you're giving it the right nutritional components.
I think that could be a big signal. I just thought of that. Do you ask as part of your questionnaire, like, do you eat a lot of Tums or do you get a lot of heartburn or something? Because that could be a signal of, number one, bad diet, but also you might have some problems. Like that's bad stuff. If you're eating Rolaids and Tums all day to keep yourself going, that's really bad for you. Not only are the Tums, there's chemicals and things in that thing that you're putting more stuff in and you're just putting a Band-Aid on the problem, but that acid that's coming up in here and eating away at your body is not good at all, right?
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah. So when we sit down and have a conversation at the beginning, we talk about, what medicines are you taking? And, I'm not a doctor. So, obviously I work a lot of times hand in hands with a doctor. But, if the person is coming to me and let's just say they do have stomach issues and they want to stop taking those medications, then I'm not going to tell them to go cold turkey, but I'll work with them on their nutrition, work hand in hand with their doctor to help them accomplish that goal, for example. But yeah, so we talk about all the medications that they take, your family history. Your family history dictates a lot with your health. And so we talk all about family history and are you on any medications? And then what are your health goals? If this particular individual doesn't really care that they're taking little purple pills and that's not a goal of theirs, then that's not something that we'll focus on.
For now, until you mention it every once in a while when you meet, you should probably let's try some kale or something. The kale might not be it either, though. Do the gut checks and the 23andMe and all that kind of stuff for people, or is that beneficial?
So I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified, certified to do things like that. So I'll actually outsource it. I think that there is a role to be played with some of that, just from a natural standpoint. There's multiple providers in the area that do
Oh, really?
tests like that. So, um,
There's
you know,
local
I'll,
places where you can go instead
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
that do the same thing as 23andMe or that gut check thing that you send away and all the same
Mhm.
stuff. Huh.
Yep. Yep. There's, I'm very happy to say that there are a lot more holistic and functional medicine practitioners locally, whether it's, a general practitioner or even a psychiatric um, physician, a psychiatrist. There's holistic psychiatrists locally. And so, having a conversation, with those professionals is definitely the way to go. So,
And they'd be able to explain, they're a professional and they're an expert at it. So instead of sending it away to some company that sends you back, and I'm sure you get a printout and stuff, but somebody could actually explain to you what it means. You could ask
exactly.
questions about the results, all that kind of stuff. That sounds like a great episode. I'll hit you if you know somebody, or I'll just Google it. Maybe there's a holistic society of Harrisburg or something. That would be a great thing. So that's a good segue into kind of what is a health coach. Obviously, you're not a doctor and you don't do certain things. So tell us a little bit about what a health coach does do, or what you do as a health coach.
Yeah. So what I do is, I guess I feel like I'm a nutritionist and I'm a counselor and a personal trainer and, a healthcare professional, obviously non-licensed in that sense, kind of all wrapped together. So we're going to look at what I call primary food and also secondary food, and then guide you through all of those areas to help you accomplish your goals. Food and nutrition is a really big part of it. There are a lot of weight loss centers and that do a really great job at helping you lose weight. But if they're not dealing with the emotions or the circumstances behind what's causing that emotional eating or that disordered eating or poor nutritional eating, then you never get to the root cause of it. And so
I
with
also, sorry to cut in, I don't believe in the whole you can eat whatever you want just in smaller portions, because that if you're eating all garbage, just smaller portions, you're still getting garbage and no nutrients. So I don't, and then when you do fall off the wagon, you're shoveling still bad stuff into you, other than changing what your body likes, what you crave, just better things, holistic things that then when you do binge, I'm binging on like apples and oranges rather than like potato chips, or I do like potato chips too, but
yeah.
or something worse than that, something man-made or whatever. Um, so you said nutrition is nutritionist. Is that a certification you have? You said a couple of certifications you have. What all do you have, and what do you have to do to get them?
Yeah, so I'm not a certified nutritionist, but as a certified health coach, the school that I attended was IIN, which is the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and they teach us over 100 nutritional theories. So that's the benefit of having a health coach is not only do you get the nutritional part of it, but you get everything else as well. So if you wanted to work on your health, and you would have to hire a personal trainer, a nutritionist, maybe a counselor. And with a health coach, it's all of those things bundled together. And so we do talk about nutrition. And again, going back to the weight loss, 90% of the people that have lost weight will regain it because they haven't dealt with all of the other aspects of, their health. And so as a health coach, we kind of bundle everything together to get you to the point where you're changing your lifestyle and that the changes become permanent, not something that is just temporary, that you're going to basically go right back to.
So how does that's a great segue. How does that journey begin and how does it go? So if somebody said, I want to change my life, I feel like I'm not living as healthy as I could. I want to prolong my life. I want to get some things going. They reach out to you. Where does the journey begin and how do you ease them into it? How does it go?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, all of my health coaching relationships start with a free consultation. So we'll sit down, we'll do a health history, and talk about, where you've been, and where you are currently, and where you want to go. And we really focus on your goals and trying to move you toward accomplishing those goals. And generally, we work together for 6 months. And the reason for that is that life happens. And so, if you go back to the whole weight loss thing, your life is ebbing and flowing. And if you're not focusing on the events or the emotions or the things that trigger you into poor nutrition or poor eating, or then you go right back to where you were. And so
Like
6
holidays,
months.
if your program doesn't
Exactly.
run over Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and winter in general, where people pack in the calories, then maybe,
Yeah,
6 months
exactly.
maybe isn't even long enough, but people tend to not want to commit too long. So 6 months is probably a sweet spot, I'm guessing, where people would commit
Yeah,
to.
it's actually been proven to be a very effective time frame because you're moving through many phases of the year and many events that are happening that will challenge you. And, we're dealing with, some of that and then moving you through what those circumstances are. And it's very, very, very successful.
And then what do you do between the free consultation and the 6 months? I'm assuming after you talk to them, maybe you go back and come up with some sort of proposal that's tailored for them and what they need to do, because everybody, like you said, has different goals.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about a health coach is that the solution is completely customizable to you. There is a framework and a guideline, but the reality is that no two people are the same, no two bodies are the same, no two metabolisms are the same, no two people have the same emotions. And so as we're putting together the plan that works best for, Derek or somebody else, it's going to look completely different. And then every single meeting that we have will look completely different. And that is the beauty of a health coach, is that it's designed specifically for you, to help you reach your very specific goals. We all can read the internet. There's every weight loss solution, every de-stressing solution out there. But the reality is that people really struggle with taking that information and translating it into transformation. And that is the power of my program and health coaching, is that we'll take information and create transformation that's permanent.
Yeah, and people need accountability too. I mean, that's a huge part of it, of any coach, or just, you could hire somebody off. And I'm not saying they should do this, but you could hire anybody, just say, follow me around all day and make sure I do what I'm supposed to be doing. Just having any eyeballs on you watching, or it's been proven even just to write stuff down. That's why just writing down what you eat every day, even if you do nothing with it, will help you analyze your diet and maybe eat a little bit better just by vocalizing it and talking about it. So you get the accountability out of it. So they learn it, and then do you keep them accountable by meeting with them over the 6 months or weekly, or how does that go?
Yeah. So, you said something like pretty important. Coaching is support, accountability, and education. And those are the three components that, again, create this transformation. So yeah, we will have 2 meetings a month, face to face or virtual in this COVID world. And then there's support in between, weekly support. There's specific recipes or handouts or guidance that comes that's very, very specific for that individual. I also will do a pantry makeover where I can actually, again, this was pre-COVID, but in a COVID world, come in and look at the things that are in your pantry. You said something, quite a little while ago about you think that you're doing something so good for yourself, but the reality is that it's not. And I'll just use an example of granola bars. Keto can work.
I'll say it.
Keto can be okay, but granola bars, for example, you think, okay, I'm eating whole grains and there's nuts in this, and
I got to say it while we're on this. Grilling meat as your main source of food is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea for many, many reasons. I know people close to me that do it and think they're doing something that's good, and it is terrible. Continue. Yeah. Sorry, that's my PSA.
That's okay. It's okay. 100 nutritional theories. There's 100 nutritional theories that work for somebody. And that includes keto, and it's not a terrible thing. I think for a short period of time, it could be really, really great and jumpstart your metabolism. But, there is a diet that is literally you eat nothing but raw food. I mean, there's some pretty crazy nutritional
I like
theories.
That better.
Yeah.
As long as it's not all meat.
Yeah. But there are nutritional theories that are designed by people that are very effective and for people. And, who would have thought, 35 years ago, they came out with the macrobiotic diet, and, there were naysayers about the macrobiotic diet as, like an anti-cancer or to heal your body or whatever. And, here we are so many years later, and it's a viable nutritional theory that works really, really well for a lot of people. So
how do you figure out, how do you go? Well, you're looking at their pantry, obviously, and seeing what's in there. And that's a big indicator of setting them up for success, is set their environment up. Do you find that people are truthful with you about what they eat or don't eat? Or I guess if they're coming to someone willingly and paying them for help, they're going to be somewhat truthful. But do you find that people are?
That's a little bit of a loaded question. So, if any of my health coaching people are listening to this podcast, I think that people, they want to be truthful. But, I'll just use an example, let's just say you're coaching someone and they say, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. And then after 2 months of coaching them, you're giving them suggestions on what to do. And every time they're coming back and saying, no, I didn't accomplish this. No, I didn't accomplish this. No, I didn't accomplish this. I think that in our hearts and in our minds, we might want to lose that 20 pounds, but our actions are not supporting what our heart or our mind is saying. And so at that point, and I think that this is the crux of all health in our nation, is that we say it's a priority, but our actions are not reflecting that. And So if our actions are not reflecting it, that's when you have a hard conversation and say, I think you need to be truthful with yourself and either, change your habits to accomplish this goal, or you need to be truthful with yourself and change your priority. And, if you say it's a 10 priority, but your actions are a 1 or a 2, then you need to be honest with yourself and, change the how high up a priority it is. And that is the power of health coaching and the program that I share with my clients is to help them with their priorities, and that we're matching up their actions with their emotions, what their heart is telling them and what their head is telling them.
Yeah, I mean, every coach of any, marketing coach, any kind of coach is going to deal with certain people that every time they meet to come to them and haven't done whatever they were supposed to do on their list, and you slowly realize that you just kind of have to let this person go at the end of that 6-month term or whatever, because they're just not. I don't want to continue. And like you said about, did we talk about going to Scranton on the podcast, or was that before the episode?
No,
you turned down a job because you knew that they wanted you, but it wasn't going to be the right move for them, and then you were going to have a bad blemish on your record, so you didn't want to do that. It's getting off on a tangent a little bit, but so everybody deals with that in coaching a little bit. People don't want to actually do the work. Do you ever try to? I think one of the problems, a soapbox again, is people think that you have to go run on a treadmill, and every second of it you're going to hate and sweat, and it's going to be painful and the worst thing. And that's what they have to do to lose weight, or they have to completely go from eating everything they like to eating nothing and doing crazy things that they see other healthy people doing. But you don't have to do that. Just figure out what you like, maybe a hobby. If it's throwing darts, even standing up for an hour, walking back and forth from a dartboard and becoming the best darn dartboard player there ever was, and getting excited about something, and just get excited about anything in life, whether it's sports or not, is good. But finding something that you actually like to do, that you're going to crave doing, that will get you out and doing it, like mountain biking or rock climbing, or if running's your thing, or if swimming's your thing, or whatever. So do you talk to people about that? Do you try to dig and say, what are you passionate about? What do you like? What can we tap into?
Yeah, so I would love to say that you cannot out exercise a bad diet. So you cannot run on the treadmill long enough to overcome eating 3 chocolate chip cookies every day. And that is a big conception that a lot of exercise people, or people that are exercising a lot, have. But you cannot out exercise a bad diet. So I think that going back to what your point is that, nutrition does not have to be a drudgery. We work really hard to find things that are good and healthy, that heal your body, that heal your mind, that you really, really enjoy. And I think the same can be said for exercise. The reality is that, I have a client, and she has a head trauma. And so physical movement, and notice I didn't say exercise, physical movement for her is literally to the mailbox and back every day. That is the level of physical movement, which is a change from where she was. And so everybody is going to be approaching their health and their physical movement from a different perspective. And so, yes, we absolutely kind of dive in and figure out, what are the things that you're passionate about. And you're right, it could be just your physical movement is to the mailbox and back, or perhaps it's taking a walk around the lake, and it's a stroll. It doesn't even have to be where you're, breaking a sweat. And
Or
then
even knitting, or I mean, anything.
Yeah, I mean,
From nothing to knitting is better than nothing.
yeah. Yeah, so we really don't talk about exercise. We really just talk about physical movement. And then, you have an opposite extreme where maybe you have somebody that is a marathon runner, and they've, had a stress fracture and broken their leg and have had multiple surgeries. And so their physical movement for their health could be going backward to the opposite direction, to maybe find a yoga practice, to find an elliptical, or to find walking instead of running. And as a recovered runner, that's a huge shift. I mean, that euphoria that you get when you're running, and you never think that you're going to be able to replace it and feel good about your body if you're not going out and running, 2 or 3 or 4 miles. And that is a health shift, actually going in the opposite direction. So again, health is it it it's a journey, and this is where the power of health coaching becomes so instrumental in creating a healthy lifestyle for where you are and what your body and your soul and your mind is capable of.
That's great. And then I just looked at our top and we're 5 minutes out. So you got the health coaching, and it's pretty much a talk to you, and you tailor a program that's specific for that person. And then you also sell essential oils. Am I calling that the right thing? You can talk about that for like a minute or so. I was going to talk about it a little bit longer, but I geeked out and got on my soapbox a little bit. Tell us a little bit about oils, and what's the deal with oils?
Yeah, so essential oils are natural compounds, roots, stems, leaves, barks from tree. And, it's really what we used thousands of years ago to heal our bodies, and heal our minds. And, in a medicinal world, we've taken individual components of, let's just say, peppermint, for example, and used that very specific component in a medicine to now heal our bellies, for example. And there's power in the natural component. When you isolate that one compound, there's a lot of side effects, and so you end up having to take more medicine to overcome the side effects of what you thought was, you were doing something really good for your body. And essential oils work completely differently, where they're natural, and really, they can heal you naturally. I was exposed to it because my husband was getting very severe migraines. Of course, he was taking migraine medicine and painkillers to overcome it. And he started to use essential oils, and he can use it prophylactically. So if he feels one coming, so he's no longer taking really debilitating migraine medicine or painkillers or ending up in the emergency room. Since he started using essential oils, he's not been in the emergency room one time in the last 3 years, because now he is actually healing his body naturally. And so I started sharing essential oils because I wanted people to know that they can heal their bodies naturally with oils or with food and nutrition, and they don't have to reach for the medicine. I can say that I am no longer taking any of the medicines that I was taking 3 years ago when I started sharing essential oils, or, when I became a health coach. I do it all through food and oils. And my life is completely changed. And I feel so incredibly passionate about sharing natural solutions with people for, anxiety and stress and depression are probably the thing that I deal with the most when it comes to oils. And these oils have basically changed my family's life and our approach to how we deal with our healthcare. And they're really powerful. And I know people, my husband thought it was snake oil. Like, how can me breathing in this essential oil change my mood or take away my headache or whatever? And it's a very powerful systemic response that your body has to these natural compounds.
Yeah, I have to say I'm with your husband, or was, until I got some lemon oil from you, and I'm liking that. And I do buy in. You're basically squeezing the essence out of the good stuff out of something, and boiling it down, and a little vial of lemon oil is easier than a bushel of lemons from the grocery store for that fact alone. So I'm going to take it out because we're 50 seconds out. We got a special offer for everybody, $50 off personal coaching. So hit up Carol and get $50 off. I have her information up there, EssentialJoyWellness.com. If you want to do an episode with me, hit me up. I'm going to skip everything else. Thanks for being on, Carol. Sorry to cut it short, but we got to get it on IGTV. It has to be in under an hour. So let's say goodbye. But don't leave. We're going to talk after I hang up. See you, everybody.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.